first, I want to mention that College Game Day is going to the Tennessee versus Florida football game. I don't expect Florida to win that game, to be honest, because Tennessee is the better team, first of all. Yes, I know they're questionable on defense, but Florida is overrated despite their ranking. And there is not a lot of marquee matchups, so I totally understand. Now I'm going to go into my top 10 for Division 1 FBS football. Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Alabama 3. You can put any of those three in any particular order, but for me, Georgia should be number 1. If you want to switch Alabama and Ohio State 2 and 3 respectively, I'll be fine. Michigan at number 4, Clemson 5, Oklahoma 6, Oklahoma State 7, Utah 8. I would only put NC State at 9 because I don't want to overhype USC. Arkansas at number 10, though I can make a debate that Kentucky could be in the top 10 instead of Arkansas. That's a team on the outside looking in. Oregon definitely looks better than they were, but I don't know if they're top 10 worthy. I would put them no higher than 12. And yes, I know some teams in front of them lost yesterday, which is why I would put Baylor number 13 or 14, depending on what you want to say with USC. And I would put Tennessee at number 15 no matter what. I want them to prove to me a little bit more, just like USC, because they haven't played anybody yet. Now the AP poll came out, and some of it is a joke. Let's just flat out say it. Georgia at 1, Alabama 2, Ohio State 3, Michigan 4, Clemson 5, Oklahoma 6. USC still is at number 7. To me, USC needs to prove it a little bit more, which is why I would put them no higher than 11 if I had to choose. Kentucky at number 8, Oklahoma State 9. Arkansas still in the top 10, despite only win by 11 against an FCS opponent. Tennessee 11, NC State 12, Utah 13, Penn State 14, which I think Penn State got too much. I know they won yesterday on the road, but Auburn's not a great football team. They're not. They're a dumpster fire. They might not make a bowl. Oregon at number 15, which I understand, but you don't want to jump them too much. Which that to me is more reasonable on them jumping ahead of BYU. Ole Miss number 16, which I think Ole Miss should be behind Baylor, per se. Baylor 17. Washington's number 18. BYU 19. I thought BYU would be out of the polls because they got beat down yesterday by Oregon by 21. Florida went down to 20. Makes sense. Wake Forest 21. Texas is down to 22, which thank you for not moving them up. They moved them up last week despite having a loss to Alabama, which was ridiculous. A&M went up one spot to 23. Pitt is to 24, and Miami, Florida is number 25, obviously. And if you want to know the coaches poll, it's nearly the exact same, except some order changes, of course. I mean, that's the only thing. And they even include Michigan State on the coaches poll and not on the AP poll, which to me that makes a lot of sense after that beatdown yesterday. Now, for the games that are top 25 games, I'm going to predict who's going to win all those games respectively. Clemson versus Wake Forest, and Clemson at Wake Forest. Wake Forest is number 21. I get Wake Forest dropped, but Clemson is not impressing me right now. I'm going with the upset, but I could see the other way because Wake Forest doesn't have a great defense. Obviously, I already discussed Tennessee versus Florida. Tennessee. It's a matter of, is it going to be 2 touchdowns? Is it going to be 10 points? 14 points at minimum as a victory? Or is it going to be 20 or more? That to me is the obvious. Arkansas versus A&M, and in Arlington. I know A&M is favored by 2.5 as of this moment, but Arkansas is the better team to me. I'm picking Arkansas, though I could see the other way. That's the only games that are noteworthy. As for the other games that's going on Saturday, Baylor versus Iowa State. I don't know about all those guys that are questionable for Baylor right now. I really don't. Like Ben Sims with the head and injury, Tate McWilliams undisclosed, and Monterey Baldwin with the head injury. As well, and Cole Maxwell sounds like it's going to be longer term. Grant Miller got hurt like yesterday, but I think somehow Baylor wins the game. It don't have to be pretty to win. Just win on the road. Georgia versus Kent State. Do I have to really say this? Georgia by a mile. I mean, it's the truth. I mean, Michigan versus Maryland. Michigan. I do think Maryland could keep it closer than the experts think, but I don't know. Penn State versus Central Michigan. Penn State. Texas at Texas Tech. Texas is only favored by 4.5, and Texas Tech's coming off of a 13-point loss to NC State. I do think Texas is a little bit more overrated, but I'm going to stick with them. But they're only going to win by a field goal. Touchdown or less. I just don't know what to think. Miami versus Middle Tennessee State. Miami. Or Oregon at Washington State. And Washington State is 3-0, by the way, and Oregon's 2-1 with that only loss to Georgia, which is understandable. And Oregon is favored currently by 6 points. I'm going with the upset. A letdown usually happens whenever you pull off an emotional win or an upset win. Most of the time. Not all the time. But I'm going with Washington State pulling off the upset. Ole Miss versus Tulsa. Ole Miss. Kentucky versus Northern Illinois, who just lost to Vanderbilt. Kentucky. Alabama versus Vanderbilt. Alabama. Ohio State versus Wisconsin. Ohio State. NC State versus UConn. NC State. Oklahoma versus Kansas State. Kansas State has given Oklahoma fits in the last couple of seasons. I mean, they beat them in Norman before. And I get Oklahoma's favored by 13 points. I would honestly take the points in this game because I think it's going to be one possession. And Kansas State just lost to Tulane. I think Kansas State wakes up for the game and somehow makes it close. In fact, I'm thinking an upset's going to happen. But I wouldn't be shocked if Oklahoma wins. Something has to happen. Some upsets have to happen this next week. Oregon State versus number 7 USC. USC is only favored by a touchdown. This is a pick'em, but I'm going to give the edge to USC for now. No, you never know. BYU versus Wyoming. BYU. Arizona State versus Utah. Utah. Washington versus Stanford. Washington. So, yeah. I'm just surprised that USC is favored by 7 points. I thought it would be a little bit more against Oregon State, but Oregon State is a good football team, and they're going to be hard to beat. This is really the first true test for USC, either home or away, in my opinion. Even though they're not ranked, they're better than all the opponents they have played up to this point. And when you look at USC's schedule, the following week is Arizona State and Washington State. should beat Arizona State no matter what. Oregon State to me could be that's a trap game. It's on the road before the next two. So anyways, if you like this content, hit the like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys later. Let's get into 400 subscribers and more by the end of this year. And if you're new, please do subscribe and hit the like button. It helps the analytics to get more viewers on the video. And I would greatly appreciate it. Please be good to each other in the comment section.